I think over the years, we've accumulated quite a few more people in our audience that aren't familiar with your story. So if you don't mind kind of giving the short version.
Christopher Scott, I was wrongfully convicted of capital murder in 1997. One sole eyewitness said I was the individual that robbed and killed her husband. Next thing you know, I was taken downtown, investigated not for murder, but for drugs. And once I told them that I didn't know anything about the drugs, they told me that they was tired of bullshitting with me, to put my hands behind my back, that I was going to jail for capital murder. And at that particular time, I was supposed to be the shooter, and they did the ballistic report. And one of the officers that stopped me told me he didn't believe I committed the crime because of the fact that, for one, they just put me in the lineup 5 minutes prior to the lady seeing me. She couldn't pick me out. And then he stated that I was, he said, you're well-spoken, you're well-groomed, you dress nice, you're driving a nice car. We found a couple of uncashed paycheck stubs in your pocket. This is not the crime that fits the man character of yours. This is the type of crime that fits a dope fiend. He told me that. He said, well, subpoena me to court. I testified that is no physical evidence linking you to this crime, only her word alone. And a lot of us do not believe what she's saying. I meet my attorney that night. I asked for a polygraph test. He denied it. He said he wasn't going to give it to me because of the fact that I may fail a test. And I told him, how am I going to fail a test if I'm telling you I'm telling the truth? Why would I fail it? Well, I'm not going to give it to you. Right then, I believe that my attorney actually thought that I actually committed the crime or had something to do with it. And now I feel like he wasn't going to give me 100% because he thought I was guilty of something.
Right.
Next thing you know, my attorney come back and see me and tell me, well, guess what? I'm like, what? Come back to show that ballistic reports show you didn't fire a gun. So, okay, am I free to go? No, you're not free to go. Why? Because we're re-indicting you. Re-indicting me on what? Now we re-indicting you on an aggravated sexual assault case and a capital murder case. I'm like, but you just told me that I wasn't the shooter. Doesn't come back to me. He said, well, in a mix of y'all was supposed to be robbing, killed, a Hispanic drug dealer, one of y'all fondled his wife when y'all was searching her for money or drugs or whatever. I'm like, what? He like, yeah, so now you're re-indicted for capital murder and aggravated sexual assault. Okay, cool. We go to court. It's 3 different jury panel selections saying they could not find me guilty because you had no physical evidence. How can we prove he didn't do it if we have no physical evidence? I'm sorry. And the prosecutor kept saying, well, it's no DNA in the case either. So we don't have no DNA and we don't have any physical evidence. Only thing we have is her word alone.
And this is the decedent's wife was the girl.
Yeah.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah. And they saying like, it was 3 different jury panels came in and said, we can't find him guilty because you have no physical evidence. Right after that, an African-American man stood up and said, I can find Mr. Scott guilty just on her word alone. An African-American guy stood up and said that. And 5 minutes later, I had an all-white jury panel. And 3 days after that, I go to trial. My capital murder trial lasted 2 hours. My deliberation lasted 30 minutes. My judge asked me this question which saved my life. Why should I seek the death penalty? And the only thing I can say, how could you kill an innocent man? She said, well, Mr. Scott, you just saved your own life today. We're not going to kill you, but we're going to give you a capital life sentence. And I'm like, looked at my attorney and said, like, she just said they was going to give me a capital life sentence. She swaying a jury to make them think that she actually feel like I committed the crime because it's the way she chose her words.
She said that in front of the jury.
She said this in front of the jury. Not only that, the judge I wrote my judge a letter stating what I felt about my defense attorney, my court-appointed attorney. She read that letter out loud in front of him. And now I'm like, I'm dead for real. He's not going to be happy that I said this about him. Like I say, 2 hours later, capital murder trial is over. 30 minutes later,
your entire trial was 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah. Liberation, 30 minutes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Sent to prison in 2002. Alonzo Hardy comes back and confessed to the crime. We sent it to the DA office. And at that time, the DA was Henry Wade. He's a white racist DA. He had been our DA for like 38 years at that time. He wrote me back and said, we would never allow a man that doesn't have any DNA in this case get exonerated. So this case is closed. Don't write this court no more, or this DA office no more, because the case is closed. 2006 is when Craig Watkins actually got elected our DA of Dallas, first African-American district attorney. He took my case to UTA, University of Texas in Arlington. They had an undergraduate class that do wrongful conviction cases. This undergraduate class is the reason that I'm out of prison right now. They sent a 11th grader to see me, and she wanted me to confess to the crime. And I'm like, I'm not confessing to a crime that I did not commit. And I told her to leave the same way she came. We both got up to walk away. The doors was locked. We couldn't get out. So what we do? She asked me to sit down and talk to her again. I told her no. She said, please sit down and talk to me. I think it's the way she said, please, that really got me to sit down and talk to her. And I said, the only way I'll talk to you is don't ever ask me to confess to this crime again. She said, I'm not going to ever ask you, to confess to this crime. So she left. We talked about 2 hours. Sitting in a day room, I'm looking at TV. I'm seeing guys from the same prison that I'm on go home. I've seen like 7 guys get exonerated in less than a year because of this DA.
Mostly on DNA?
Mostly, right. All of them on DA. Not right. Mostly, all of them on DA. And I'm seeing the same attorney getting them out all the time. Her name is Michelle Moore. And I told myself, like, one day, if I can get this lady to work my case, I get exonerated as well. Maybe 2 months later, after the intern came to see me, the law student came to see me, I got a letter from the DA office stating that, they had appointed me an attorney on my case because they felt like I had reason to believe that you didn't commit this crime. They gave me the attorney, Michelle Moore, who I'd been seeing on TV. 3 months later, hey man, I'm exonerated. Wow. 3 months later, I'm exonerated. Yeah, it went fast. Once they actually felt like I was telling the truth, I was exonerated quickly. And another crazy part about it, I did have to pass a polygraph test to get out. Yeah. I still
got your polygraph.
I finally got it after almost 13 years of asking for it.
Yeah.
They finally gave it to me, and I felt like it was wrong because I'm like, I asked for this 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Why you didn't give it to me then?
Yeah. Now in the back of your mind, you're thinking, man, I really better not fail this thing.
Oh, but I knew I wasn't going to fail because I know I didn't do it.
Right.
I knew I didn't do it, and I didn't have no knowledge of it. So I'm like, I can't really answer the question, but I can only answer them truthfully because I just don't know.
So was that what prompted Alonzo to confess though, right? It wasn't just him saying, hey, I want to raise my hand and say I did this. Is that what prompted the whole thing, or was it actually the class?
I think, it's crazy. Alonzo, before, right after Alonzo was in prison with cancer. And don't you know, right after he confessed to the crime and wrote the affidavit the second time, he went into remission. He was cancer-free. He was cancer-free. I guess God said, if you did the right thing, you saved a life, I'm going to save your life.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that, because to me too, it would seem like from a prosecutor's angle, well, yeah, this guy's looking at death in
Right.
the eye. And so
Right.
he's going to confess because what
Right.
does he have to lose? He'll
Right.
take your case and whatever. Did you get any pushback like that?
No, we didn't get any pushback from that, but a lot of people was upset with Craig Watkins because they felt like you let two innocent men go free because how can we say they didn't do it if there's no DNA?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy because he came to see me when I was in jail, Craig Watkins. And he said, look, I need to talk to you. And I was like, what's going on? He said, look, this is going to be the first time two individuals or anybody is exonerated with no DNA. He said, and I'm going to ask you this question. He said, did you commit this crime? I'm like, no, sir. Did you have any knowledge of this crime? I said, no, sir, I did not. He said, well, I believe you. In a few days, you'll be taking that polygraph test, and then that'll prove if you're actually telling the truth. He said, because if I let you go and you're guilty, all of this stuff I done started,
Right.
it's going down the drain. It's not going to be any credibility with the DA office
Yep.
or the CI Conviction Integrity Unit anymore.
You screw over
Yeah.
everyone that's in
Yeah,
line behind
exactly.
you.
He say, so we need you to be telling the truth because he say, just imagine, you're the first non-DNA case. You're going to set a major precedent for the people that left behind me. And just imagine how many more people done got out of prison since me without no DNA.
That's a leap of faith on his part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a lot of heroes to get you out.
Oh, man,
A lot of crooks and cooperation to
Yeah.
get you in too.
Yeah,
But
it did.